Can you tell us
Yeah.
about your relationship with intent data, if you will?
A rocky relationship. No, I mean, we really started, and it started from the beginning was the premise of like, how are you going to build this business? Because there were other sites out there that call them lead generators, where it's more CPA, CPC. They try and get you to click through. They didn't
Mm.
really care as much about the reviews and the content. And we always had this mentality of buyer first, and we meant it, and we stuck by it. You know, internally, externally, all of that. So what that meant was you weren't always going to take the low hanging fruit and taking clicks and leads and trying to monetize those. At least from the outward perspective, there still were leads, there was still intent, but you kind of wanted to think about it from a buying perspective. Like, how do you create a great experience from a buyer? We did spin up leads first, was kind of our first foray. It really worked well because we had what were called buying advisors. So it wasn't just like submit these leads and hear back from these random companies. We were actually chatting with people and asking them different questions, and then predicated on the answers and how the data would perform within the reviews, we would give you, wasn't AI, but call it more informational, to guide you towards a handful of different companies you might want to speak to. So that worked really well. We went down that path. And while leads are great, a lot of people don't want to submit leads for obvious reasons. They don't want a million phone calls and emails from salespeople, as well as a lot of people aren't ready to talk to somebody. So then came up this idea of like intent. Like, what if we could just tell you who was on your page, right? And so, yeah, we started that. We were able to see some really good success on trying to mesh different data providers. But even back then, and you know, I'm not sure exactly what the hit rates are today, but I'm sure they're not significantly higher. Even then, we were getting like 20 or 30% that we were able to match to
Mm.
visitors. So it's not some high amount. You're not getting 75, 90% of the visitors understanding. You're getting some minimal portion, but you're getting it. And so the biggest question from intent data, which to this day, I still believe, I think is the hardest part about intent data, there's like two parts to it. One, can you please define intent? Intent is like a broad word.
Yeah.
You know, I could have intent by saying like, I heard of this random piece of software that does territory design. I'm just going to go like, just check it out. I just want to see what's going on. I couldn't be higher at the top of the funnel, right? Or intent could be like, I need to buy one today because my board said that I need better territory management by January 1st, 2025. And this needs to be in yesterday, right? Like,
Mm.
that's really high intent. But who are you to say where I am in that process? That's really hard to gauge. And then the second part of that is, do I want you to know? And how do you know who I am? There's all kinds of privacy concerns and whatnot. But from a high level, if I'm a salesperson, I don't have that context usually. And
Yeah.
so I need to be really good at either gathering that context or having some pretty interesting messaging to understand how to get the attention of a buyer, regardless of what part of the cycle they're actually in.